The federal government detailed funding today for its action plan on combating hate. It came out of the two national summits held by Ottawa on Islamophobia and anti-Semitism. CBC's Sarah Galashan has more details on this story. So, Sarah, what more can you tell us about this plan?
Well, Jacqueline, this is a response to the rising level of number of incidents of hate that we're seeing in Canadian communities. Police are reporting that hate crimes have doubled since 2019. Specifically, we see a sharp increase between 2019 to 2022 during those very tough years of the pandemic. But then in 2023, a 32% rise in hate crimes in communities across the country. The federal government pointing to fears and feelings that have been influenced by global events. Think about the October 7th attacks and then Israel's resulting military response against Hamas in Gaza and now Hezbollah in Lebanon. So there are a number of ways that Canada's action plan on combating hate is, we're told, going to make Canadian communities and specifically individuals as well who might be feeling fear feel safer. Take a listen.
This means better data tracking on hate crimes through StatsCan, increase resources for law enforcement so that they can understand the needs and concerns of diverse communities, reforms and education for our justice system to better inform how to deal with hate crimes, more funding to financially support survivors and victims of hate crimes, to ensure communities have the resources they need to feel safe and secure, as well as initiatives that will build trust between communities that experience hate and the institutions that respond to the incidents of hate.
So as far as building that trust, that there will be a security there if it's needed. The existing security infrastructure program in Canada, it is getting a revamp. It's getting a new name. They're now calling it the Canada Community Security Program, CCSP. And it's also importantly getting more money, $65 million more dollars. 16 million of those dollars can be available this year. And so they are putting out calls for applications to community groups, projects, organizations that would qualify. They can be eligible for up to $1.5 million. And under the new formula that's being introduced as part of this, the federal government could provide up to 70% of that funding. And it could be complemented by other levels of government funding that might be made available. And Jacqueline, important to this when we talk about the protection element of this and those individuals and communities feeling safe, some of that money can be used to pay for accredited security guards.
You mentioned this a bit, Sarah, but what sort of groups might be able to benefit from this funding?
Yeah, we're talking about groups that might feel that they are either targets for hate, might be targets for hate, might also be groups that are working to try and combat hate. It can be, and other things that it can be used to pay for this money, administration space, it can be used for cemeteries, it can be used for child care centers. So it can really run the gamut. And that's all part of this new formula. And this is what organizations have sort of said that they need. At the press conference, we actually heard from a couple of voices representing groups that are working toward trying to increase dialogue on particularly tough topics centering around the Middle East. I want to play you a little bit of what we heard from both sides of this that are trying to work together.
We want to see solidarity dialogues in Ottawa, in Toronto, in Vancouver, in Montreal, and any other place. We want to expand the tent that will include everybody and that will never leave anyone behind.
People are suffering, and this is an effort not to ignore or to silence it, but to give them a voice and find a solution through safe and effective communication. We also hope it will bring down the temperature, which has risen far too high because of polarization.
So that's just one example of a group trying to foster dialogue. And of course, Jacqueline, by doing so, the hope is that they increase that dialogue, they increase an understanding between those who might be feeling fear so that they have a better understanding of the other side of the issue.
Okay. Sarah, thanks so much. That's the CBC's Sarah Galashan.